Hello everyone, Jamasi. I wish you all a very happy Good Friday. Good Friday is a day that Christians around the world remember as the day that Jesus died on the cross. More than 2,000 years ago, Jesus gave up his life for you and I on the cross. But I think the most painful thing about Good Friday wasn't the cross, it was the abandonment. The very people he came for, the ones that he loved, turned away from him. His own disciples, who promised to stay with him until the end, they denied him and they ran away. The people that once shouted, saying Hosanna, the ones who praised him and welcomed him, now shouted against him and stood against him. He was surrounded and completely alone. God the Father turned his face away from Jesus, and Jesus shouted, Eloi, Eloi, lama sabachthani. He said, my God, why have you forsaken me? The truth is, God had really abandoned Jesus at that moment. And all of the sin of humanity was put on Jesus. And he had every reason, he had every chance and every opportunity to just leave everything. He could have just said, this is not worth it. However, he stayed. Sin has a cost. For everything we do, every action we do, there's a consequences. So for every sin, there was a consequence. And sin separated us from God. It destroyed our relationship from the beginning. And the full cost of humanity's sin fell on Jesus. In the Bible, he says, Father, if it's your will, take this cup of suffering away from me. However, not my will, but your will must be done. Jesus was in a human form. He knew all the suffering he had to face. He knew the event that was going to unfold that day. He knew what he was going to face. I want to illustrate something for you. There's a story about a father and a girl. And the daughter went to her father and asked her, I'm about to be 15. What's my birthday gift? And the father said, we still have time, and I'll think about it and I'll give you your present later. However, when the girl was 14, she collapsed on the floor. She fell hard on the floor and she was rushed to the hospital. And when she was rushed to the hospital, the doctor came to the father and he said, your daughter's heart is failing and she might not be able to live longer. And lying in the hospital bed, the daughter looked at the father and said, am I going to die? And the father responded saying, he told her, no, you're not going to die. You're going to live. And as he said this, he went out the room. And as he was going out, he broke down in tears and started crying. And the daughter said, how can you be so sure? And he said, because I know for sure. Sometime later, the girl turned 15. She was still at the hospital recovering from all those things and she was still under treatment. And when she turned 15, she had gone through surgery and she was recovering. And when she got home, she found a letter on her bed from her father. And it said, my dearest daughter, if you're reading this, it means everything went well. Just as I said. You once asked me what I would give you for your 15th birthday. I didn't know it then, but my gift to you was my heart. Her father had given her his life so she could live. And what I want to tell you from this story is that's just a little glimpse of what Jesus did. He didn't just give his heart, but he gave his life to the people who would not always choose him back. He knew every mistake, every moment we would walk away. He knew every failure, every decisions we would make that was against him. But he still chose to stay. And maybe that's why it was called a Good Friday. I mean, think about it. The day that Jesus was crucified, he was mocked, he was beaten. Why would we call that a Good Friday, right? It's because what looked like defeat was actually not a defeat, but it was the greatest act of love the world has ever seen. Like I said, he could have just stepped away from everything. And some people might be wondering, why did Jesus have to die? Why did he have to go to the cross? Because a lot of people wrestle with that question. And as I said before, justice, sin has a cost. There's a consequences for everything, right? And he needed to punish the humans. However, God himself stepped into human form and took upon the sin of the human, and he took it to the cross, and he paid all the sins. It was not just a heavenly transaction, but it was a demonstration. He was trying to show how far his love can go for us. And if Good Friday proves anything, it's that God didn't walk away from us. What I want to say is that if God didn't walk away then, God's not going to walk away from you now. Not in your brokenness, not in your mistakes, not when you even feel the furthest away from God. He's not going to walk away from you. Just as he stayed then, just as he made the choice to stay, he will stay for you. He is for you. He took upon all the sin so you and I could be set free. So you and I would not have to face eternal abandonment. So you and I would not be separated from God. He took upon all the sin and he set us free. Yes, Jesus had to face a lot of suffering, but the most painful thing he faced was abandonment by all the people, by his close one, and even his father. So what I want to encourage you is this Good Friday is you are not alone. God was abandoned so you and I would not have to be abandoned. I wish you all a very happy Good Friday. Stay blessed.